Hello and welcome to Sochi in Russia, home to rounds 13 and 14 of the TCR International Series for 2015. This is Mark James in the commentary box, and I'll take you through today's two races. You're seeing there the medal plaza, which played such an important part in the Winter Olympics, which was held here in Sochi in 2014. And the circuit runs around part of the Winter Olympic Village. You see that semicircle is around the medal plaza, and that is pretty much the only unique corner, if you like, on the circuit. Everything else pretty much 90 degrees left and right. It's a 5.6 kilometer circuit. It's one of the longest in the Formula One calendar. It's made its debut with F1 last October, and Formula One will be back here again later on this year. However, it's the TCR International Series. Touring cars is what we're talking about this afternoon. And it is a cloudy sky, 25 degrees air temperature. We've had spots of rain in the last few minutes. And so the anxious look there on the face of Kurt Tremmel from Liqui-Moly Engstler, possibly will he and the other teams have to change to wet tyres for this first race this afternoon. An 11-lap race, giving us our 60-kilometre race distance. And the grid just clearing. There you see the man who currently leads the TCR drivers' table, Gianni Morbidelli. Not a fan of Sochi, I think it's fair to say. Gianni was telling me early this morning that he's not a great fan of the corners. They're very much alike. And he knows that he will almost certainly have his points advantage cut at the head of the drivers' leaderboard. He may well lose it altogether this weekend. James Nixon there, the team manager, sharing Gianni's concerns. Gianni saying that he's been plagued by understeer all weekend, but the team are mystified, I have to say. They were saying this morning that possibly could be understeer, possibly could be Gianni himself over-driving. But, well, we'll have to find out. They were trying some last-minute fixes on both Gianni's car and that of his teammate, Kevin Gleeson. And we will find out whether those fixes have been a success in probably around 5 minutes or so as the cars set off for their green flag lap at this start of round 13 of the TCR International Series. Let's look at the grid then. And after a dramatic finish to qualifying, Jordi Genet had his fastest lap disallowed, and his second fastest was enough to give him pole position ahead of Andrea Bellicchi. In the second row will be Genet's teammate Pepe Oriola. That's a new name to the TCR International Series, Thomas Engstrom. He'll be driving for the Liqui-Moly Engstler team in TCR Asia. He's here to learn and has taken the place of Lorenzo Valia. It's Mikhail Grachov and Sergei Afanasiev on row 3. Stefano Camini and Morbidelli on row 4. The big title rivals. They come here something like 18 points apart. Hopefully we'll remind ourselves of the championship positions in a moment. Michel Nukia and Kevin Gleeson, that's the front row, remember, for race 2, with the top 10 being reversed. And then Alexei Duducarlo and Ildar Rakhmatulin, some slightly unfamiliar names, joining the TCR International Series here in Sochi. It's Alexei Duducarlo, who's already won here this weekend in a round of the Russian National Series. You'll see his car in the familiar red and white colours of Lukoil, but with Russian sponsorship branding. And Ildar Rakhmatulin, who's also won here this weekend in a round of the Russian Touring Light Series in the third of the West Coast Racing Civics. There is the position regarding the drivers' points I mentioned. Morbidelli leads from Camini, but Pepe Oriola just a point now behind Camini in third place. Genet fourth, Bellicchi fifth, Kevin Gleeson sixth. And that position, I suspect, will change. A huge haul of points for Kevin Gleeson on the previous round in the Salzburg Ring, the final batch of the virtually back-to-back European rounds. But Gleeson and Nukia, you see there in 7th place in the drivers' table, the two winners in the Salzburg Ring. Words said between Morbidelli and Camini. It's true to say that they're not the best of friends. Morbidelli saying that he feels the younger drivers should be showing some respect. In his days in Formula One, he would never dream of criticising his fellow competitors as publicly as the likes of Stefano Camini and Pepe Oriola has done. And he says he's going to let his driving do the talking. And you see there Michel Nukia, delighted to be a two-time race winner by winning the second race in Salzburg 3 weeks ago. Worth also pointing out that the series is off back to Austria in 3 weeks' time. The next round of the series planned for Argentina, and news came this week that that's been rearranged for the Red Bull Ring in Austria in 3 weeks' time. So no Argentinian round, which comes as a disappointment to many. but there will be 11 race meetings this year, with one more in Europe before the break in August, and then the final 3 races in the Far East. There is Kevin Gleeson, who's suffered from jet lag tremendously this weekend. A 23-hour journey from Kevin from Pennsylvania in the USA to get to Sochi, and he's not been sleeping properly. And I think that perhaps is reflected in the 10th position in which he qualified. He also is carrying the maximum 30 kilos of success ballast after his victory in the Salzburg Ring. And so with him carrying 30 kilos and Morbidelli carrying 20, incidentally, the other driver to be carrying success ballast is Oriola with 10 kilos. But you have to say it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for the West Coast Racing team to score some useful points this weekend. There is Stefano Camini, one of the characters of the championship. And what will he do this weekend? He knows he has to outscore Morbidelli in order to close the gap on the series leader. This is the final pair of corners, the 2 right-hand 90-degree bends that get us back onto the start-finish straight. Jordi Jannet, goes round turn 18 to come back onto the start-finish straight to line up on the grid. Alongside him will be Andrea Bellicchi. That man, Pepe Oriola, will start behind Jannet on row 2. Thomas Engström replacing Lorenzo Veglia. He's probably watching this on television in Italy. Lorenzo, 18 years of age, been with us since the beginning of the season and has to miss this round in order to take his school leaving exams. He must be hugely frustrated, but will be keeping his fingers crossed that Thomas is keeping his seat warm. Lorenzo scheduled to rejoin the TCR International Series for the next round at the Red Bull Ring. The skies are clearing, and the light rain I mentioned appears to have stopped, which will be good news. We saw a close-up there of a rain tyre a few minutes ago, so the teams have their options open. The cars, though, lined up on the grid. There is the green flag. Race director Mark Duez will reach for the switch that'll turn on the red lights. There they are. When they go off, we are racing. Indeed, they go off, and Jordi Jannet makes a great start, but as does Pepe Oriola behind him, getting up alongside Andrea Bellicchi. And as they weave behind the 2 Liqui Moly Engstler cars, the white car of Thomas Engström, the grey car of Michal Grachov, and indeed it is Pepe Oriola who is in second place going down to the first right-hander at turn 2. It's Jannet from Oriola, from Andrea Bellicchi. Then it's Grachov. There is Grachov in the number 8 car. We're on board with Stefano Camini, so it's a perfect start for the 2 Lukoil Craft Bamboo Seats. And there is Dudu Carlo in the Russian liveried car. But Jannet is off and running as it's Sergei Afanasiev in the 3rd of the Craft Bamboo Lukoil Seats, who runs very, very wide there. Jannet then from Oriola, from Bellicchi, from Grachov, from Camini, from Engström as Afanasiev takes a look up the inside. Has he made it stick? Indeed he has. That's Michel Nukia behind him. And behind Nukia is Gianni Morbidelli in the number 10 car, with the other 2 Hondas, that of Kevin Gleeson and Ildar Rakhmatulin, bringing up the rear. There they are. Gleeson in the 24 car and Rakhmatulin in the number 26. And indeed, Nukia coming back at Morbidelli coming back at Nukia, I should say. That's Dudu Carlo behind. Let's take a look on board with Morbidelli. Does he have the line for the right-hander? Oh, was there contact? I don't think so. Morbidelli, though, putting the pressure on Nukia. Side by side, they go down to the left-hander. And Morbidelli has the line for the right-hander, so Nukia loses out. And part of the circuit here in Sochi is based on public roads, so it's kind of a half street circuit, or 2/3 a normal race circuit, 1/3 public roads. There, the black and orange roof of Afanasiev, then Morbidelli, Nukia, Dudu Carlo, then Gleeson, then Rakhmatulin. But at the head of the field, no change. Jannet, Oriola, Bellicchi, Grachov, Camini, Engström is how they finished lap 1. And then Afanasiev ahead of Morbidelli, Nukia and Dudu Carlo. with Gleeson and Rakhmatulin outside the points, as that was Kamini who just popped his nose out to have a look around Grachov. There is the back of Grachov's car, the number 8, the grey Seat Leon from the Liqui Moly Engstler team. Grachov, like his two compatriots, Dudu Carlo and Rakhmatulin, has won here. In fact, Grachov won the very first race to be held at Sochi, even before Formula One came here. And talking to Sergei Afanasyev and saying this is his home race, he said, yes, but I live 2,000 kilometers away, the other side of Russia. And so this track I've never been around. I've watched it on YouTube and that's about it. And that's how it is for most of the drivers. Although Genet and Oriola were saying that they have a simulator quite close to them in Barcelona, and they were able to spend somewhere between 90 and 100 laps of this circuit on the simulator with very similar lap times to what they were recording in testing and in free practice yesterday. And that time in the simulator looks to have been well spent. Genet 0.8 of a second clear of Oriola. Kamini dropping behind Grachov. And Morbidelli was saying, as Grachov just a little puff of smoke from the tyres as he locks up. Morbidelli was saying that it is very difficult to see through the corners because of those high fences. And even Genet was saying yesterday that when his fastest lap was disallowed, it is very easy. It's very flat curbs here at Sochi. It's very easy to run wide. And a lot of the drivers have been penalised, including, well, Genet and also Pepe Oriola, who've had laps disallowed. As we watch the start back and that weaving from Grachov. But this probably from the man who made the best start of all, Pepe Oriola, already up alongside Andrea Bellicchi. That's the view from Kamini's car, with Afanasyev alongside him. And way back in 10th place, that was how Kevin Gleeson saw things. No change then. Genet from Pepe Oriola, from Bellicchi, from Grachov, who's just has a look down the inside and he almost makes it stick, but not quite. Too much of a gap between them. He forces Bellicchi to go wide. But I can't see that that will incur the wrath of the race director. There is a message on my timing screen warning car 2 about track limits at turn 10. And that is Alexei Dudu-Carlo. Turn 10 is where all the problems were yesterday with cars putting all four wheels over the white line. That's where Jordi Genet lost his quickest lap. But Genet was saying it's very difficult in a touring car because you sit so low down, you can't see where the wheels, the tyres are. And it's difficult to place them, so it is very easy to run all four wheels over the line. As in the background, you see there a scrap going on between Thomas Engstrom in the white Liqui Moly Engstler Seat. And that's Afanasyev. That's the scrap going on for 6th place. As we look at the scrap going on for 4th between Kamini and Grachov. There they are. Let's try and concentrate on this gap, on this battle for 1 or 2 laps. Afanasyev, Morbidelli, Nukia. It's Engstrom that has come off worse. And we didn't see that incident because when we last looked at it in the background, it was Engstrom battling with Afanasyev. And it would appear that whatever's happened, Engstrom has come off worst. Afanasyev up into the top 6. But there'll be a gap between Kamini and Afanasyev. Kamini having his own scrap with Grachov for 4th place. So Afanasyev, Morbidelli, Nukia. Then it's Engstrom. And Engstrom really here to learn this weekend. The 51-year-old from Sweden, hugely experienced in touring car racing in his native country. He's been competing in the Scandinavian touring car series for the last couple of years, but he's looking at getting experience of the TCR concept because he'll be competing in TCR Asia for the Liqui Moly Engstler team. Little puff of smoke there from Beliki coming under pressure now from Grachov. That's the view from Kamini's car, who's also closed right up. So this could be a scrap worth watching. The gap's just a little bit too big at the moment. If they close up, you have to say that Kamini is extremely hungry for points. So Beliki, Grachov, Kamini, all in Seat Leons, all virtually identical. Two are in the target competition blue and white cars, and the grey car in the middle is the Liqui-Moly car. We'll concentrate on this scrap for a lap or two, I suspect, because the two Lukoil Seats of the Craft Bamboo team are way out in front. Jordi Genet still leads Pepe Oriola. The ideal scenario as far as the sponsors are concerned at their home event. Beliki then. Grachov. And you see what Genet was saying. It's all too easy just to stray over the white line with all four wheels and get a penalty. Beliki already starting to pull away, but Grachov almost back into the clutches of Kamini. And in the distance there is Avanasiev just ahead of Morbidelli. This is around the fire station, back into the back straight part of the circuit, around the back of the paddock, and then it's these two right-handers, turn 17 at 18, that gets the cars back onto the start-finish straight. No dramas. Kamini biding his time, it would appear. Now this is the section that could make the difference. Coming around that final corner in second gear, Kamini, is he close enough to get a tow, an aerodynamic tow from Grachov? Up through the gears, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, hitting sixth gear for only the second time on this circuit, as they head down to the square right-hander at turn 2. As in the background, it was Engström just taking a look at Nukia up the inside, but no indeed. The Swede stays behind the Danish driver. And Morbidelli was saying that if you get that turn 18 right and come out of it with a couple of kilometres advantage over the driver in front of you, you could be something like 5 kilometres quicker by the time you reach turn 2, which is probably, he was saying, one of the only overtaking spots on the circuit, because it is so tight here, because of the high walls and the fences. And I can see on my timing screen 2 more warnings coming up from race control about track limits. Car 74, which is Pepe Oriola, being warned, and also Mikhail Grachov being warned about track limits at turn 10. So Marc Duez keeping a very close eye on the situation. No change there. Still Avanasiev 6th, Morbidelli 7th, Nukia 8th, Engström 9th, Duducarlo 10th, Gleason and Rakhmatulin 11th and 12th, and so outside the points at the moment. So this then the scrap between 6th and 9th, this little trail. There we see our race leaders, and Kamini having closed right up to the back of Grachov's car. There's then a gap to, there is Beliki. Grachov and Kamini running together. Can Kamini do anything about this? The leaders are on their 6th lap of 11. Beliki has a cushion, but Grachov having to defend, I suspect, from Kamini. Behind Kamini, Avanasiev 6th, Morbidelli 7th, Nukia 8th, Engström 9th, Duducarlo 10th. But Kamini now putting the pressure on Mikhail Grachov. Grachov will be keen to do well in front of his home fans, but Kamini even more hungry for the points. knowing that at the moment he's well ahead of Morbidelli, but could do with improving at least one more place. And there is the battle. It's pretty consistent, 4 tenths, 6 tenths, and then 5 tenths. And at the bottom end of the top 10, you see there the green and red lozenges. Gleeson has overtaken Dudu Carlo for 10th place, while we concentrate on this scrap for 4th. So Kevin Gleeson in the points. He'll be pleased with that at the very least, but won't be satisfied with 10th place. So the two Lukoil Craft Bamboo cars were still 1 and 2. Then it's Beliki. Then this scrap for 4th between Grachov and Kamini. 3 tenths now between the two. I think Kamini is well aware that unless Grachov makes a mistake, he still has a look though, but he's putting the pressure on. And in order to capitalise, it'll be Grachov that makes the error rather than Kamini diving up the inside. So they come around turn 15, up to the right-hander at 16, taken in second gear. They quickly snatch third, 4th, and then it's back down to second gear. That's where Gleeson overhauled, and let's just take a look at it again. Oh, no, indeed. That is Morbidelli, but that's where Kevin Gleeson took 10th place away from Alexei Dudu Carlo. Dudu Carlo in a TCR spec car, competing in the Russian National Series. And being given the wildcard entry by the Lukoil Craft Bamboo team on their home event, as Thomas Engstrom takes a look at the inside of Michel Nukia, but not close enough to make that stick. We're on board with Nukia, looking ahead at Morbidelli as once again Thomas Engstrom looks up the inside line, but is he close enough to make it stick? He brakes, but no, indeed, Nukia turns in. So Engstrom will have to settle for 9th for the time being. Those gaps now just opening up enough to make it difficult, if not nigh on impossible, for the drivers to do anything about it. Engstrom took a look, but wasn't close enough to have any serious chance of passing Nukia. Nukia, despite his win in the Salzburg Ring, all 4 wheels across the white line again for Thomas Engstrom. The race director will have something to say about that, I'm sure. Afanasiev then, Grachov, Morbidelli, Nukia, Engstrom. Hang on, the leaderboard on the left of your screen is now saying that Kamini is past Grachov, and indeed there is Grachov behind Afanasiev. We didn't see that incident. That's Nukia. Let's see if we can see that possibly from a replay. But Morbidelli, Nukia and Engstrom running together. We didn't see the incident where Kamini, there he is in the 25 car. So Afanasiev also passed Grachov. So what happened there? I'm afraid I'm as in the dark as you are, unless we can see it from a replay. But it's still Jordi Genet who leads from Pepe Oriola. Beliki and Kamini now, 3rd and 4th. So 2 Lukoil Seats ahead of 2 Target Competition Seats. Then it's Afanasiev, then Grachov, then Morbidelli, Nukia, Engstrom and now Gleeson, with Dudu Carlo and Rakhmatulin out of the point-scoring positions as Morbidelli takes a look up the inside. Oh, Nukia just almost makes contact, but no, indeed. You have to wonder what Morbidelli was thinking of that line, forcing Nukia to go the long way round. But indeed, no harm done. Morbidelli still 7th, ahead of Nukia and Engstrom. Engstrom, though, still hassling Nukia, looking up the inside, but I suspect too far behind to have any serious chance of doing anything about it. And Engstrom keeping 2 wheels the correct side of the white line this time. We're on lap 8 of 11. Now, is this... No, this is the replay of Morbidelli and Nukia side by side. And that was an ambitious move, possibly, by Nukia. We didn't see the beginning of the move, but Morbidelli held the place. So our leading duo, that's Jordi Genet, Pepe Oriola, then Andrea Bellicchi, then it's a yawning gap back to Stefano Camini. There he is. And Genet and Oriola driving their own races. Less than a second between them. Then it's a gap back to Bellicchi. There is Camini in 4th. Then Afanasieff, now coming under pressure for Grachov. Then Morbidelli. Then it's Nukia. Then the white Seat of Thomas Engstrom. And then you saw in the background Kevin Gleeson. And again, Engstrom right up behind Nukia. Grachov there just weaving out to take a look at the inside of Afanasieff as Grachov moves up alongside Nukia and indeed takes the place. Grachov then, but then he runs extremely wide at... that will be turn 2. This is the semicircle around the medal plaza, and you saw in the background the ice skating arena. So Engstrom overtakes Nukia, but I'm seeing that there is a warning from race control about track limits for car number 4. And we're looking at car number 4. So Engstrom on his final warning for track limits, and that was the... That's the kind of problem. All 4 wheels across the white line, and Engstrom has done it once too often for the likes of the race director, so he's on his final warning. As Nukia takes another look up the inside and retakes the place. Nukia going past Engstrom. Or was that an instruction from the team to allow him to retake the place and so avoid a penalty? We'll never know. But in any case, Nukia is back up into 8th place, having retaken 8th from Engstrom. Engstrom then back to 9th. Ahead of Kevin Gleeson there, he is in the background. So there's Camini, Afanasieff, Grachov, those 2 battling now for Russian honours. And there in the back of your shot was Gianni Morbidelli. But Grachov all over the back of Afanasieff's car. And no sign of any replay or any tale of what happened to Camini, or what happened to Grachov, I should say, to allow Camini to get past. So we're on our penultimate lap. Jordi Genet, having started his 10th lap, still ahead of Pepe Oriola. Bellicchi 3rd, Camini 4th, Afanasieff and Grachov, these 2 fighting for 5th place. There they are in the distance with Gianni Morbidelli behind them. Can Grachov do anything? He moves out to the inside line, but thinks better of it. Just tucks in behind Afanasieff once again. So Morbidelli still 7th. Nukia hangs on to 8th. Engstrom 9th. Gleeson 10th. Duducarlo 11th. Rakhmatulin 12th. And there is Rakhmatulin in the 26 car, having had enough. As we focus on this scrap between Grachov and the man ahead of him, Sergei Afanasieff. So at the moment, all three of the Craft Bamboo Lukoils in the top 5, which the team and the sponsors will be absolutely delighted with in front of their home fans. But Grachov determined to spoil the party. Oh, contact between the pair. Grachov just nudging Afanasyev and coming off worse. And that allows Grachov to fall into the clutches of Gianni Morbidelli, who moves right up behind the Seat. So contact between the two Seats. Let's just take a look at it again. Grachov moves up. Afanasyev moves to defend, and there is contact between the pair. Grachov then running wide. Let's take a look back at it from Afanasyev's car. No serious damage done in terms of bodywork, but Grachov is now fighting off Gianni Morbidelli, who, like Comini, is desperate for as many points as he possibly can from the two Russian races. A lap and a half, slightly under, is all that remains for Gianni Morbidelli to be able to do something about Grachov in front of him. Can Morbidelli take 6th place away from Grachov, or can the Russian driver defend? There is Afanasyev, Grachov, then Morbidelli. Around turn 18, onto the start-finish straight for the penultimate time, then out on the last lap. Genet still ahead of Oriola, the gap now half a second between the two. Then there's a gap to Beliki, a yawning gap back to Comini, who's in 4th. And then it's this three-way scrap, but the gaps, I suspect, are too much, even for Gianni Morbidelli to be able to do anything about. And in the background, look, it's Engström having a go at Michel Nukia, the two side by side as they go round the right-hander. Once again, it's the number 4 car that's forced out wide. So 1, 2, 3, Genet, Oriola, Beliki, then a gap to Comini, then Afanasyev, and then Grachov and Morbidelli. But it would appear that the battle worth watching is between Nukia and Engström for 8th and 9th. And whether the two Craft Bamboo Lukoil cars have been told, settle for position, guys, don't risk anything. And Genet, the winner in our very first pair of races. He took his first win of the year in the 2nd race of the series at Sepang in Malaysia. And a real up and down season for Genet since then. Scored his first pole position here, and looks as though he's on course from this angle at least of comfortably taking his 2nd win of the year. So a lights to flag victory in prospect for Genet. There are the two Craft Bamboo Lukoil Seats. But behind, Beliki and Comini in the two target competition cars, then Afanasyev, then Grachov, then Morbidelli, and then Nukia and Engström, with Kevin Gleeson about to take the single point for 10th place. The only other car still running, Alexei Dudicalo, 11th and out of the points, as Jordi Genet and Pepe Oriola come around the final corner to take the checkered flag. And so Jordi Genet takes his 2nd win of the year. Pepe Oriola 2nd, Beliki 3rd, Comini 4th, Afanasyev 5th, then Grachov, then Morbidelli. Oh, what's happening in the background? That's the two cars I was saying were scrapping. So Gleeson has come from 10th to 8th. With something having happened between Nukia and Engström. Nukia finishing 9th, Engström finishing 10th. And all we saw was the two cars running extremely wide. And let's just take a look at that. That's Morbidelli. And there goes Nukia, and Engström's backwards going across the final corner. And this is looking back from Nukia's car. Engström goes wide, and then Tao turns into him. Let's look at it from Kevin Gleeson's car, not Morbidelli, as the caption says. And that was a strange move, you have to say, from Thomas Engström with his experience, having run wide, and then and sure enough, there's a message on the timing screen that the incident is under investigation. Surprise, surprise. So, what on earth happened there? All smiles at the Craft Bamboo Lukoil pit. Richard Coleman there from the team, more than happy with a 1-2 in Sochi. Congratulations to Jordi Genet and to Pepe Oriola. Oriola, if my sums are correct, will leapfrog Comini into second place in the series, and the pair of them have closed the gap on Morbidelli, who came here to Sochi with a lead of 18 points in the Drivers' Series. So Craft Bamboo Lukoil 1 and 2, Target Competition 3 and 4. And indeed, the Drivers' points, Morbidelli now, Oriola rather, having closed the gap to Morbidelli to just 7 points. Comini indeed has slipped to third. Genet has moved up to fourth, just 5 points behind Comini. But what on earth happened on that final bend? The final, or the penultimate bend, turn 17, seemed to be straightforward. Engstrom ran wide and then just appeared to take off Nukia. As Jordi Genet, on his slowing down lap, heads back for the pits. Now, will the stewards, or indeed the race director, have words with Nukia and Thomas Engstrom? Or will there be a cosy chat between a Swede and a Dane in the pits after the race? Comini, having done the best he could, Comini having started 7th, and there is confirmation that the incident involving Nukia and Thomas Engstrom is under investigation. But Comini having started from 7th on the grid, finishing 4th, so some useful points. And he'll also be aware that his great rival, Gianni Morbidelli, finished behind him. But the congratulations will be for Jordi Genet and Pepe Oriola, but the questions will, I suspect, surround that final corner incident between Engstrom and Michel Nukia. Of course, Genet won't be aware of any of that until he sees the replay. All that matters to him is the victory and the 25 points it brings. You can see the smile inside that helmet. That's just what the doctor ordered. Pole position, leading to win number 2 of the year for Jordi Genet. Congratulations from the team. Well done, Jordi. And I suspect congratulations too, although we can't see him as yet. There, I was just going to say, congratulations from Pepe Oriola Senior on Father's Day. How appropriate. There is Andrea Bellicchi having a quick debrief with the guys from Target Competition. Walter Gomera there in the yellow shirt, team boss. And congratulations from Jaime Puig from Seat Sport, who comes to all the races. The teams may be running the cars, but Jaime very much sees the Seat Leons as his babies, built by his operation on the outskirts of Barcelona. And indeed, Engstrom is stopped out on track and needs assistance from the marshals to come back into the pits. So the inquiries will go on into that incident, but there is confirmation of what happened. Engstrom and Nukia's clash drops them to 9th and 10th. Gleeson finishes 8th. Morbidelli 7th, Grachev 6th, Avanasiev 5th, Comini 4th, Bellicchi's 3rd, Oriola 2nd. But the man who won the race, win number 2 of the year, is Jordi Genet, and he's talking down in the pits to Fabio Ravaioli.
Jordi Genet, brilliant victory for you at the Sochi Autodrome from lights to flag.
Hey, impressive race, impressive weekend so far. We've been very lucky all the time because it was some drops of rain, and the rain really came on the in lap, on the checkered flag lap. So if the circuit was 5 minutes, if the race was 5 minutes later, this could have been a big mess. Great weekend, so I just hope to get a little bit more in the race too, and I'll be a dream come true.